Hi, welcome to Coming to New England. My name is Greg Martin, and my guest today is my father. Thank you for coming in today.
Welcome.
What is your full name?
Thomas Joseph Martin. I was born in Providence on September 28, 1956.
How did your family come to live there?
Well, we're really not sure about my father's family. The family legend came from Ireland. My mother's side, my maternal grandparents came from Portugal, specifically from the Azores.
What was the house, apartment, wherever you grew up? What was it like?
Well, it was a small bungalow style in Johnston. And at one point when the family was rounded out, there were my parents and 6 children, and my paternal grandfather lived with us as well.
How many rooms and bathrooms did it have?
We had 9 people sharing 1 bathroom. It was really cozy. Things had to be planned out. And then we had 4 bedrooms, living room, and a kitchen.
Did you have electricity, indoor plumbing?
Yes, this wasn't Little House on the Prairie. It was Johnston, Rhode Island. So,
Great. Well, describe the personalities of your family members.
I think we all have a good sense of humor. I have one brother who's my brother Glenn. In your case, Uncle Glenn, who is pretty serious about things. My brother Kevin has a great wit. 2 sisters, and my youngest brother Pat. Pretty much the same kind of personalities, and interacted well with each other. But a good sense of humor felt like the entire family. If you're thin-skinned, it would have been tough to survive.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
That's a good question. I think back to going to school in 1st grade. I do remember my dad standing behind me with his hands on my shoulders, telling the 1st grade nun that I should behave in school, and if I didn't, to let him know, and he would take care of me when I got home as well. So I guess it would be kind of a traumatic childhood memory. But really, it was a lot of, with 3 brothers and 2 sisters, it was mostly memories of playing together, family dinners.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed playing outside, especially playing sports outside. I was never one to sit inside and watch television. I was always very active with my brothers, so at different times of the year we'd play baseball throughout the summer, sandlot baseball. We were in the house by 5 o'clock every night. And if you weren't, my dad either whistled for you if you were in the neighborhood, or there was a bell on the front porch, it would ring. So it's kind of like, if you know from psychology, Pavlov's dogs, the bell rang and you ran home for dinner. So we were well conditioned or required to be home. And we all sat around the table, so 9 of us squeezed in around the table. And it was family style. The food was passed along. If you didn't like what was on the table for dinner that night, you still had to sit at the table.
Yeah.
My mom made us still sit there at the table. So eventually, you kind of gave in your pride, and you ate what was there. So, yeah.
What were your favorite songs and music growing up?
Well, I liked rock and roll, traditional rock and roll, especially the Beatles, Rolling Stones, a little bit of Led Zeppelin, the Moody Blues. So kind of all I have to do is probably listen to your play tracks, because you tend to like the same music that I do.
Do you remember any fads or fashion trends from your youth?
All you have to do is look back in the 60s
Yeah.
video and books and so forth. Plaid pants, bell bottoms. You've brought back the type of hairstyle that I had then. Kind of long hair, kind of flashy colors and so forth. Jeans.
What is your profession, and how did you come to choose it?
Well, I'm in the field of education. I'm the vice principal of student life at LaSalle Academy here in Providence. I started off as a history teacher after I got my bachelor's degree at St. Pat's in North Providence, an all-girls school. I was there for 1 year, and then I went to my alma mater, Our Lady of Providence, where I taught for 9 years until it closed. I think at some point in high school, I decided I got very interested. It was I always enjoyed school. I had some very good teachers, both in grammar school, high school, and some excellent professors in college. And I think that helped to inspire me to to go into the field of teaching. And I enjoyed the classroom a great deal. It was always fun. I liked teaching history. I liked studying history. And it's been a very rewarding profession. Actively involved in the CYO organization. But in high school, I played high school soccer, I played tennis, and I played a year of basketball.
Cool. So flashing forward a bit, why did you choose your children's names?
Well, first of all, being a school teacher, you eliminated names of kids who you thought about that were pains in the classroom.
Yeah.
So you took those right off the table. But I really, it was just we liked the sound of Lindsay Elizabeth, and for yours, we liked the sound of Gregory as a strong name, and then incorporated my first name as your middle name. And that's really how we came to the agreement about naming you and your sister.
Cool. What was your proudest moment as a parent?
I think that's a transitional question in the sense that it changes as your children get older. Certainly, obviously, to see them graduate from high school and go on to college, and then Lindsay's made it. Hopefully, you will graduate from Rhode Island College and go on to find some happiness and success. But there are the little moments that you go through. So it's hard to really pin down one specific moment. I know that a trying time a sense of gladness occurred like when we were born, as you know.
What were those like in your family?
Well, they were a lot of fun. We went often, like for example, on Thanksgiving, we would go to my grandmother's in East Providence for dinner. That's my maternal grandmother. And the cousins would all gather there afterwards. Christmas alternated between being at home and going to one of the relatives' house for dinner or for gift giving and so forth. 4th of July, we had friends who had beachfront property down in South County, so we'd go down and visit them often. So it was built around the family. The holidays were built around the family, the immediate family, and then obviously the extended family.
Were there things you learned from your parents, so grandma and grandpa, which do you feel was the most valuable?
I would say to really protect and cherish and work on your own personal integrity. That I think that people are always looking at you. Certainly in my profession, that's true. But to always, like Shakespeare said, be true to yourself. And I think that's the most important thing that they tried to instill in us, as well as and backed up with Christian values that were very strong in the family and so forth.
Okay, so what accomplishments are you most proud of in your life so far?
Well, I think the fact that I've been able to make a successful career, personal career in education. This is my 38th year in education, secondary education. So that would be, an accomplishment career-wise. I think an accomplishment is trying to be, or working best as I can to be a good father to you and Lindsay, and getting you to be successful adults.
What is the one you say the key is to living a happy and good life?
Just to be content with yourself and in what you're doing. And I would say not to be overly concerned about, I think in American society, so many people are worried about how much money and material goods that they can accumulate. And as I tell kids in school all the time, when they're thinking about what they want to study in college and where they want to go on a career path, I like to tell them is don't worry about the money. Do something that you are going to be comfortable with and happy with. And then the money and everything else will fall into place afterwards. Friendships that you build up over your lifetime, family relationships and so forth. There is nothing, in my opinion, that can replace those things in your life.
Cool.
So I would say just find something that you really want to do and go for it.
If you had one message you hope would be spread to the world, what would it be?
I think that we need to become more tolerant and understanding and open with each other. I think a lot of our our problems in the world today is that we want to try to put people into different categories and keep them there and so forth. But I think we need to respect one another.
So going off of your history experience, what is the biggest lesson history has to teach us?
The biggest lesson is that things are constantly changing, constantly in flux. But there are also, they say history repeats itself, which is a bit of an inaccuracy in the sense that it never repeats itself exactly. The circumstances do not reoccur exactly the same. There are parallels and analogies that you can see, but there's nothing that's going to exactly change. So you can learn from things that have happened in the past to make preparations and adjustments for what is happening now and what will happen in the future. And I think society tends to lose sight of that. Everything right now is the biggest problem that has to be dealt with, and especially in the United States, we don't have a good appreciation for precedents and for things that happened beforehand that may have an impact, okay, on what's going on today. And I think we can learn there are a great many lessons that can be learned from things that have occurred before with how to deal with current problems and prepare for potential problems and pave the way for the future.
So how is the world different today than it was when you were growing up?
It's a lot faster paced. And I think that society wants immediate results immediately. Okay, they want things, and they want to tie everything up very quickly. We've kind of lost patience for stuff. For example, in school, you give a kid a test, and they want to know the next day what the results are, or instantaneous communication. We can't go any place without our iPhones and constantly checking to see who's in touch with us and what do we miss. When I was a kid, you had one phone in the house and you shared it. And for a while, it was a party line. So you could pick up the phone and all of a sudden you hear somebody's conversation next door. But, then it was a big thrill to get a private line. But if you were out and somebody called and left a message, when you were out, you didn't worry about it. When you got home, you took the message from, it wasn't an answering machine, it was someone else in the house took the message for you. So it wasn't that immediacy, there wasn't that, I have to do things right now and get it done. And so you could say that life was a little bit slower paced in one respect.
So I know you've talked about this with me a lot, but what world events had the most impact on you while you were growing up? And did any of them affect you personally or your family?
Well, like you said, we've talked about this before because you've asked me this. And I would say the single event that still sticks out of my mind to this day